One punch. That's all it took. The man who built an entire boxing career out of proving people wrong got knocked out cold. Broken jaw, titanium plates, lost a tooth. And now, his doctors aren't sure he'll ever fight again. So how did a Disney Channel kid end up here? Let's go all the way back. Jake Joseph Paul, born January 17, 1997 in Cleveland, Ohio. If you grew up watching Disney Channel in the mid-2010s, you know him as the loud, chaotic, borderline insufferable guy who made your entire timeline lose its mind. He was everywhere. Vine, YouTube, Disney, merch drops, Team 10, house parties so loud the neighbors called the police. Jake Paul wasn't just content, he was a spectacle. And most people thought that's all he'd ever be. They were wrong. Jake first blew up on Vine alongside his brother Logan Paul. When Vine died, he pivoted to YouTube and kept growing. His early content was wild: pranks, vlogs, stunts, drama. He was the internet's favorite villain. But behind the chaos, something was building. Before we move on, this video is sponsored by NordVPN.com. Fast, secure, and perfect for gaming and streaming. Check the link in the description and enjoy the video. Actual athletes. Retired NBA player Nate Robinson knocked out in round 2. Ben Askren, former MMA world champion, knocked out in round 1. Tyron Wood, the world stopped laughing. Jake Paul wasn't just a YouTuber who could box, he was becoming a legitimate professional boxer. Love him or hate him, the results didn't lie.
Yeah, the embryonic stages. How did this all start? Most people stick to one combat sport. They don't try to do two this early in their voyage. As a promoter, you're doing two now 5 years in. How did it all start?
Yeah, look, I think we're pretty agnostic in terms of it being MMA or boxing. At the end of the day, we love combat sports and we're great promoters and we have a great relationship with our partners at Netflix as well as other platforms, but we've always wanted to...
While everyone was focused on whether Jake Paul could really fight, he was quietly building one of the most disruptive sports businesses in the world. He co-founded Most Valuable Promotions, MVP, his own boxing promotion company, and he used it to do things nobody in boxing had ever done before. He partnered with Netflix. He negotiated revenue-sharing deals for fighters. He advocated for better fighter pay across the board, something the boxing world had ignored for decades. He brought in audiences that had never watched a boxing match in their lives. His fight against Mike Tyson in November 2024, the living legend, the most feared heavyweight of all time, was streamed on Netflix and became one of the most watched boxing events in history. Jake Paul won by unanimous decision. Let that sink in. Jake Paul beat Mike Tyson. He wasn't just in boxing anymore, he was boxing, at least in terms of cultural conversation and pay-per-view numbers. And then he made the fight that would change everything. December 19, 2025, Kaseya Center, Miami, Florida, Netflix. Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. Joshua is a 2-time heavyweight world champion, an Olympic gold medalist, a professional with over a decade of elite-level competition. Critics called the fight dangerous and irresponsible. The size and experience gap was enormous. Jake Paul called it a biblical upset waiting to happen. He was confident, loud, the same Jake Paul the world had always known. But this time, the other guy was different. In round 6, Joshua knocked Jake Paul out cold. The loss reportedly left Paul with a broken jaw in 2 places, forcing him into recovery and putting his fighting future into question. The injury required surgery to insert 2 titanium plates and remove several teeth. It marked only the 2nd defeat of his boxing career. The man who had built his entire brand on being unstoppable was stopped. Months after the fight, Jake Paul revealed his double-fractured jaw is still recovering, while doctors remain uncertain whether he will ever be medically cleared to fight again. In a candid interview on the Ariel Helwani show in May 2026, Paul said, and this is a direct quote, "We have to figure out the smartest thing for me. My doctor definitely doesn't want me to fight." He admitted that retirement is now most definitely in the realm of possibility, a dramatic shift from his more optimistic statements earlier in his recovery. He's also been supporting his fiancée, Dutch speed skater Jutta Leerdam, who competed at the Milano Cortina 2026 Olympics, showing a softer, quieter side of Jake Paul that most people never expected to see. But here's what's interesting. Even in his most vulnerable moment, Jake Paul hasn't disappeared. He's still promoting, still building MVP, still showing up. He's setting his sights on a cruiserweight comeback before 2026 concludes, if the doctors clear him. The question nobody can answer yet is, will they? Paul underwent surgery following the defeat and has been candid about the uncertainty that remains, acknowledging that how the bone heals will determine everything about what comes next. So that's the story of Jake Paul, a kid from Ohio who became a Disney star, who became the internet's most hated personality.
who walked into a boxing ring and somehow, against every odd, built a legitimate career, who fought legends, who changed the business of boxing, who got knocked out by Anthony Joshua and is now staring down the very real possibility that it's all over. Love him or hate him, and trust me, most people chose hate, you cannot deny that Jake Paul wrote one of the wildest chapters in internet history. Whether he fights again or not, the story isn't done, and neither is he. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button. It helps the channel more than you know. Subscribe for weekly What Happened To stories, and drop in the comments, do you think Jake Paul should retire, or does he have one more fight left in him? I'll see you in the next one. Peace.